Well, I want to welcome Angela Hailey. We have a marvelous interview coming up. She has manifested a magnificent life, and she's going to tell us all about it. She's also, this is going to be very helpful to my viewers, those of you who are looking to create an amazing life and have the partner of your life. And she has created for herself so much, and I'm eager to talk to her. So just start out by just saying, welcome, Angela, how are you?
How are you, Robert? Thank you so much for inviting me to this platform. It's such an honor.
Well, it's my pleasure. And Angela Hailey, I met Angela, just to give a little background. I met her 2 years ago, really online, because one of her friends, who is a member of our Facebook site, Neville Goddard Mystic Teachings, which is now 80,000 followers, but boy, it's grown so much. But this is 2 years ago. And one of her friends noticed or felt that I was a very good coach and an imagination coach, a life coach. And Angela was looking to get some extra coaching, and her friend recommended me. We made the great connection, and then we actually did coaching together, several sessions, and it was amazing. And of course, you're going to hear about she on her own. She's amazing, but we had a great sessions, and since then her life has exploded. So Angela, tell us a little bit about, just go back to that time period and where you've come. First of all, maybe you can before we start that, let's talk about where you're at. Where are you at now? Where are you living? And tell us where you're from originally.
I am now living in Orlando, Florida, which was interesting because 12 years ago, I was in a very toxic relationship, and I was begging my partner from Australia to go visit Disney World together. He's like, sure, sure. 12 years later, I'm married to the most wonderful husband who just literally moved us into Disney Town. So now I live by Disney World.
So you moved spiritually and in your life from having a life where you were kind of working on fixing things and maybe manifesting something better. But since then, you actually have received everything that you've wanted pretty much. So we want to find out about that, because by the way, I loved our coaching sessions together, and what you've created in your life is amazing. And it's makes me feel so good. I want to thank you for that. But you know what? Tell us a little bit about how things evolved to where
Yeah.
you are now from that time.
Sure, Rob. So I was just maybe like give our audience a little bit of the background. So I came from, if anybody is interested to know what Hong Kong is like, it's like the Western Chinese community. So it's
Mm.
westernized enough that expats can live there without learning Chinese at all because English is the official language. Otherwise, the home culture is still very, very Chinese. So we
Mm.
are like, we go to Christian schools, but at home, our families believe in feng shui and believe in this ancient Chinese
Mm.
wisdom.
Mhm.
So by 14 years of age, my mom took me to feng shui master, and the feng shui master read my life,
Oh,
like do your
wow.
life reading. It
Mm.
wasn't that bad. He said you get married at 24 and then be married really rich and you never have to do anything. And I thought that was the most boring life. It was great, but it must be boring to live like that. And then that moment I was 14 and I knew there must be a way we can create our reality. And when I find the answer, I'm going to teach people how to do that. And I was 14 when I decided that. Then going forward,
Oh,
going
no, that's
forward,
marvelous.
those
I'm so
teenage
proud. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited to hear more,
said it.
because you just you from there, you actually became a coach, an amazing coach in your own right. And I remember you telling me, even a couple of years ago, a few months after our coaching, that you were doing, uh, you increased your wealth for sure monetarily, but you were how would you describe it? You were giving seminars and so forth to actually doctors and groups like that. Tell us about that, because that was fascinating.
Oh yeah, it was just a lot of scientists have started coming into my class. And just somehow I attracted a lot of people from my science background, doctors alike. They became my clients and students, and they had marvelous results. And I had this doctor recently who just said like, wow, like I didn't believe in this before, but after listening to you, now I'm a total believer. And then she started having sessions with me.
Mm,
I'm quite touched that the scientific community is becoming emerged with
mhm,
spirituality because I
mm,
actually
mhm.
think the two are one. I don't think they are separated. Physics is spiritual. Biology is spiritual too.
You know, that's
I
amazing.
actually
That's
think,
amazing that you
yeah.
say that, because I found that too, that, you know, people, you know, like Einstein and so many of the, even from past history of scientists, the more they study and the more they look into, you know, the tiny atom and molecules and space and the earth itself and the beautiful creation around of us, so many of them actually come to a point where they cannot avoid being spiritual and
Mm.
accepting that there's so much more that brought all of our this what we experience, you know, is not just happenstance, but really they become spiritual. It's that fascinating.
Yes, I love it. So I just wanted to maybe like give our audience an idea of my background. So let's say I didn't have any guidance. I
Mm,
grew up in a Christian school. I had a family who believed in Buddhism and feng shui. Out of all of that, I believe that we can create a reality, and I
mm,
needed to find out how as a 14-year-old. By
mm,
the age of 18, I I decided to go into law school in Australia as a foreign, like, international student, and I manifested
mm,
all the money I needed for tuition. That was crazy. It was like within 4 months, I had all the money to pay for law school. And I
wow.
remember nobody believed me other than my parents because they were shocked. But my relatives were challenging me. Oh, what job do you have? You want me to introduce me to this job that you have that would pay you that much money? And then so since that time, I knew like I'm onto something. I'm onto something.
Mm,
I went into law school. I came out of law school and I started manifesting all different jobs in Australia, in Hong Kong, in London. So I worked in different countries, different cities,
mm,
and one after another. I think in total I manifested 7 different jobs using the
mm.
same principles that Neville has taught, without yet knowing Neville at that point. And in
Yes,
the end,
absolutely, because these are universal principles that go
yeah,
back millennium. You know, there's just it's not new. It's just putting it into practical application. And that's what you've done. And so as you continue to tell us how things developed, I know we're gonna talk about how they can actually utilize your services, and I'm going to have your link and so forth. So they really need to see the rest of this interview to really appreciate what they're going to be given by the end of our conversation. So as you evolved, what was next?
I was going to say, should I actually, Robert, should I mention how like that singular principle worked for getting a job for anybody who wants a dream job, who wants 5 times the pay, 5 times the salary?
Well, tell us about that. So let's go ahead and go into that, and we'll also move to where you are now and what you're doing now.
Yeah, because I'm
But
really
that
interested in talking about.
principle of becoming conscious of what we desire and really getting it on a subconscious level and manifesting. Tell us how you applied it personally, and then maybe we can talk a little bit how you coach it with others and help them do the same.
Yeah, with jobs, I haven't many students who come for coaching for jobs. Most students ask for a lover, person. And so with jobs it's the easiest because it's so easy. I basically the first thing I do, I would list out every feature, including features that are like imagine, like only imagine, like 5 times of your current salary, for example.
Mhm.
I would have every feature listed, the benefits package given
Mhm.
by my law firm, what my boss is like, what my secretary is like, what does the law firm office is like. I would actually create a whole clear structure, let myself get into it and become one with it
Mm.
every night as I went to bed.
I love that. I love that. You know, and that's, as you know, that's what I teach. I tell people that the more detailed and more specific they can be, you know, they just don't want a better relationship, not just wanting more money, but you actually wrote down 5 times what you're making. You actually imagined the type of person you would work with, the kind of people you would be dealing with,
Yeah.
and how they would treat you and what the results would be. You imagined all that. and had
Yes.
that down specifically. And as you know, I'm big on writing it down and really
Yeah.
knowing exactly what you want. And
Yeah.
then how did you, again, so let's get more on that because I love how you would imagine it to be true and you would take that vision into your sleep, which is that alpha meditation that so many teachers like Joe Dispenza, of course, Neville Goddard, and others recommend. Is that really
Yes.
what you did?
Yes, I almost because I couldn't do the lying down position. I would sit down on my bed before
Mm,
sleep. I'm like, all right, now I'm really sleepy. I would do that whole imagining and then go to
mm,
sleep.
I
But
love it.
almost there, almost the same. And I think the very important part of that is to actually assume this new identity. The concept of self is very important. I think integrated the integration is very important that I am this person now. I get paid this much money now. I am this person. It's like so important. It's not outside of me, it's within me. Like I'm one with it.
I love that. I love that. And this is really in harmony with what Neville Goddard teaches and what I coach because learning to actually be within it, dwell in it, and think from it as already having it is so important. And really, I loved how you did that. And so, what did that lead to? What were the next steps in your life? You know, as
All
you,
right.
at the time I met you, you were single and maybe a relationship that wasn't quite going your way. You were going through several things, but moving from there to where you are now, what are some of the additional steps and moves, literal moves that you made?
Okay, yeah. So that technique probably works in like in my career really well, whether that was for exams, whether that was for some money, whether that was for my career, that worked really well, except for my love life. I have to say, when I was on top of my career, I came home being completely mind boggled. Why is my love life so crap? Like, what is going on here? Is something not right? I didn't understand. I was hooked into this toxic relationship. I couldn't get out. I couldn't get, like, I couldn't be with this person in the right way that I wanted to. But he wasn't the first. He was a repeat, over and over a repeat. It's
Yeah,
like
I
a
remember there
trap.
was the guy that you used to work out with, and we want to make sure our viewers understand the coaching and that we did. Well, it's right in the middle of COVID, right? There was still kind of a lockdown where you were in Hong Kong going on, and so you were kind of doing these virtual workouts with the guy in the gym, you know, and you were all he was also interested in you. There was a little bit of a back and forth there. And then you moved from that to actually moving to other countries. So talk to us about where you're actually in the United States now. Is it New York?
Yeah, I'm in Florida right now. I'm
Oh,
in
you're in
Orlando.
Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
marvelous.
yeah, that's a quite a long journey when it comes to my love life because it started off really rough. I had to go to LA as like whenever I had leave as an attorney, I was an
Mm,
attorney and I'm still an attorney now.
mm,
So I would take leave to go to LA to train myself as a psychotherapist to understand me better, to understand what's
wow.
wrong with me. Why do I keep getting guys like that?
Mm.
And then understanding it wasn't enough. I couldn't use what I used to manifest my career in love. I didn't understand because I was deeply repeating, and actually Freud came out with this theory called repetition compulsion.
So you were
If
in a
we
loop of repeating the same thing,
the
and many
sad,
women, especially
painful,
women, but men also go through that. You have that loop.
painful patterns.
This is extremely important for my viewers because so many of my viewers are so interested in what they call manifesting their SP. So your partner, your future husband or wife. And so tell us about what additionally, how you moved out of that loop or that pattern and created the new pattern.
Uh, I would say like from that to where I moved out of it took I guess it took me I was still spinning around for years. And I was getting close when I met you, Robert, that I wanted to get like some idea of how to create it. So I would tell the viewers, once you have nailed what was the past state or concept of self that you
Mm,
have been repeatedly repeated. For example, I'm not enough. So I always attract a man who makes me feel little, belittles me, or
mm,
I'm not seen. So like the men
mm,
I love never sees me. They don't see
mm.
me. or I am not safe. So like I want to push them all away. You don't even know that you're doing it, or I'm not loved, or I'm not wanted. Like because I have coached maybe like for 8 years now, 6,000 hours of women, love problems. I know all of
Wow.
these identities
So,
that
so
carry for a
yes.
lifetime. Love in particular for women. So once I found out, I'm like, oh, and I had to wake up from that about the falsehood of that identity. I felt that because my mother had a second child and I thought she didn't love me anymore because she had my little brother. Holy crap. What is the truth about that? No, she still loves me right now. Even she has
Exactly.
my little brother, she still loves me. Robert just told
Wow.
me that about his many big already grown up grandchildren. I'm like, what? You look so young. Are you kidding me? My mother, yeah. So my mother is actually now a faithful student of manifesting too, and my brother is my assistant. He
Oh,
works for
wow.
me for like the past 6 years. He did not believe it in the past. He challenged me. He used to challenge me, and there was one chance that come. Um, and then he said, okay, if I could manifest these three things in the next 3 years, then I believe you. And then they all came within 8 months. So now he's a believer. So how did I woke up from those false concepts of self that no, that's not true. I'm enough just as I am. I'm still loved by my mother just as I am. Okay, but now what? Okay, I have to say, when you're single forever, manifesting a marriage with your SP is the hardest thing on earth.
Mhm.
Why could I manifest jobs so easily? Because I've done it. Like once you have worked in a job, you know what it feels like to be in a job. It's
But it wasn't
easy.
happening for your
Back.
love life. So you know the principles work, but applying them to a relationship, you had to really change your self-concept. So you were able to develop I won't say maybe rather easily, but you flowed right into developing the self-concept of that successful entrepreneur and businesswoman. But you weren't able to do it initially with the SP. And you and I had that discussion too. I remember, we talked about self-concept. Of course, Neville Goddard, especially in The Power of Awareness, the first 5 chapters, talk so much about how we can change our self-concept. So you recognize that, and wouldn't you say that's one of the key things that ladies or men need to do first? First of all, recognize it, that I need
Recognize.
to change my self-concept. I'm getting what I'm getting, repeating what I'm getting, because I am
Yeah.
still that same person who thinks
Yeah.
they're not good enough, who
The
thinks that
majority of the
their
world
parents don't
doesn't
love
see
them
that.
or whatever.
The majority of the world still thinks it's the other person's problem because most people don't believe everyone is me pushed out.
It's
They
me. It
think
starts
it's
with me,
the
right?
man's problem, not me. My mother-in-law actually thinks most men are rubbish. That's why all my daughters got into bad relationships. Because all men are horrible, except her son, who is my husband. My mother-in-law believes all
Exactly. And
men are
that's, I
horrible.
mean, there's a lot of truth to it. There are a lot of dirtbags out there. There are a lot of
We create our reality. There's
men
no
and women who are not good catches. But that's why, like you said, now you got very specific with your career. Did you get specific when
They
you
were,
made
yeah.
love?
I have to say
Tell us
my
about
painful
that.
patterns, the painful patterns I'm talking about from Sigmund Freud, the
Hmm.
repetition compulsion did not
Wow.
apply to my career. That's why it didn't apply to my career. It only applied totally into my love life. So I was like painfully living a love life that was not a life for many, many years. And by the time I met Robert, I probably like already woke up from the majority of those false concepts. And I worked with my wonderful best friend who was my maid of honor actually when I got
Hmm.
married. And she introduced me to the group where Robert is the moderator and lead coach too. And she and I unravel a lot of these together. Like you need somebody to see it for you. That's why you need a coach. You don't see it for yourself. It's normal. It's
And
normal.
that was such an honor for me, such an honor for me. And so from that point, you got a better grip on the self-concept and developing it. And so I gave you steps and you took those steps. But since then, you've added on to them and you've skyrocketed. And now you're a marvelous coach yourself, like you say, helping thousands and tens of thousands of women. So tell us a little bit
Thank you.
about your coaching, because I'm going to leave the link for our friends so they can actually contact you? What's the process? Do they contact you through the link and connect through email or messenger, or what is your process for them?
So under the description of this interview video,
Yes, I'll leave it in the
everyone
description. Absolutely.
will be able to find the links to my two major love courses. The first one that I did was called Last Stop True Love. That was the course for people to transform their identity, to forever kill their old identity so they don't repeat anymore. That was the hardest thing for me. Like to actually not repeat my painful pattern was the hardest. So Last Stop True Love was for that purpose, and Brooke actually did that with me. So Brooke was the lady who introduced me to Robert. And then the second course is called 88 Days Love Miracles. So since I met Robert, I decided to manifest my marriage. And from the day I decided that until I met my husband took 88 days. And then 1 year after our marriage, I did a course called 88 Days Love Miracles to recalibrate every step that I did to get to that point. So to make sure everyone who follows these steps would get the same result. And my husband wants me to tell the audience, if within 88 days you do not get your love, we're going to refund your money back. And
Okay,
so that was
now say that one more time.
within 88 days, if you do not get your love, you get your money back. There's a money back guarantee attached to the course.
Whoa, that's how confident you are. You know it
Yeah.
works. That's
Yes, I
amazing.
know it works, but you must work it. So I want to tell everybody that how Robert also helped me open up my brain to a lot of things. The number one, like if I could review some of the really treasure things that he helped me through, number one was to make it very clear, what do I want to be my perfect man? And he made me write a very, very, very comprehensive list. Like the first 2 times I show it to him, he's like, not enough, not good enough, not good enough. And I never thought about it so thoroughly. But after I'd done that list, I'm like, wow, now it feels real. Now it feels real, like he exists. And I think that's what I wanted to tell the audience is that when I was single and being with men who were horrible and unavailable, I could not fathom being with a man who is kind and committed and loving and romantic and intelligent and sporty and all those things not even exist in my imagination. Just not possible because when we are in this painful identity concept for so long, all you're thinking of is, am I enough for him? And I am enough, and am I enough? You would never think about what do I want in this person. Like not even on the
So in
table.
that processing, that is so true. And it's so part of us. We're so programmed in that, and locked into that to get out of that pattern. And so again, just maybe in brief, because we don't want to give away your whole program. We want them to actually take a look at your program and do
It's
coaching with
very
you.
long, so no,
Yeah,
we
but
won't be
just
able to
but
give it
just
away. It's
it
like
took
12
time.
hours long.
It took time, right? So it took you yourself. It took. Was this a matter of weeks or months? What would you say? How long for you it took
For Last
to
Stop True Love, it
reprogram
took
your
me 3 months.
thinking?
Yeah,
Hmm?
so Last Stop True Love, it took me 3 months to transform my identity.
Hmm.
And then it took another 3 months, 88 days to manifest my perfect man. And but that journey is some magical journey, Robert. We haven't even started talking
Well,
about
you
that
know
one.
what, Angela? I just want to highlight that point because so many people. Well, first of all, and don't be offended, ladies that are watching this. So many of you want to take the person who's got 6 out of 10 things that you love, 4 that you don't, but I'm going to help him be better. I'm going to transform him. I'm going to make him better. And so what our approach is for Angela and I is that you actually want to write down exactly what you want and don't settle. I mean, myself right now, I'm dating a marvelous lady and we've gotten quite serious in the Philippines. You know, I wrote down 16 qualities. She nailed all 16. And I actually, here's the real trip. I imagine meeting her on the beach, not on a
Wow.
dating site. Specifically, I imagined her on the beach. And I even imagined, this is kind of weird, that she was not in a bikini or a bathing suit, but she was actually in a beautiful dress. She was walking down the beach. She had just done a photo shoot with a friend. She was walking down in this lovely flowing beach style, appropriate dress for tropical weather in the Philippines. And she's walking down the beach and we just said hello. And from there, I kept finding out, yes, she's this. Yeah, she likes that kind of food. Yes, she likes these kind of hobbies. Oh my God, she loves the sun and swimming. She loves snorkeling. She's wants to scuba dive. I mean, you name it, food, travel, the things we laughed at, everything on my list, including romantic things, which we won't get into, but I actually specifically wrote down romantic details that you want in your partner, right? She hit
So
all
perfect.
of them. It was exactly what I had imagined, but it took time. It didn't happen overnight. And that's what I like about what you're saying is it took 3 months. You worked on yourself, your own self-concept and beliefs. You worked
Yeah.
on that. And then you worked on the love, more specifically developing receiving the partner that you wanted, right? And so it was about 6 months. It's because so
Yeah.
many of our ladies and men out there, they want to meet the person online or meet them at the bar and then,
And
oh, they're
and
going to be perfect.
and especially
It's a
someone who is
process.
already in love with someone else and really wants that person and checking on their social media every single day painfully. I have to tell you, you are going through your painful pattern. They trigger you into your painful pattern. That's why you're so
Mm,
attached to them. Because then when
mm,
you're in your power, like just imagine this, feeling is your secret. How do you feel when you think about that person? Do they make you feel so empowered and juicy and euphoria? Or do they make you feel inadequate? Or do they make you feel sad? That's what you're manifesting. Like when people want that specific person, they are usually repeatedly successfully
mm.
manifesting what they do not want.
Mm, So you
Push that
you
person
manifest.
away.
So what you're saying is you manifest who you become. You manifest who you are,
Yeah,
not so much
that
what
is
you
a
want, because
very good way.
everybody wants. Oh, the dream guy or the dream girl with a great job, that's great with kids, that wants maybe if you babies or not, that wants all these things, but they don't make the changes of themselves. They don't work on their self concept first, so they get more of what
Yeah.
been getting because they're not working on themselves. They simply are looking for that guy who maybe he's a 10. He's a 10, but frankly, maybe they're a 6 or a 5. You know what I mean? So
I always ask this
you need to
question.
raise your own level up to qualify for the type of partner you want. Would you agree?
I totally agree. And I think there's an other layer for women most of all, because maybe that's where women and men are a bit different because my husband also manifested myself, but his story is totally different. He's like Robert. He's like the next woman I'm going to meet. Maybe one day Robert gets to interview him because he has a very clear story how he manifested me, and I was delivered to his doorstep where he was raised in New York City, and so
Now that
at
what is it? What is your partner's name? Your husband?
Tamer.
Hmm?
Tamer. He has a Middle East origin name, Tamer, but he's like 60% Norwegian and some English. He's
Oh,
American
wow.
born and yeah.
I've seen, and we're going to have some pictures in the video to show your happy family life and your husband. Hopefully, we'll have those couple of shots of you with. I love that one you had on Facebook. Maybe we can use that
Thank
one if
you.
you don't mind,
Thank you,
with
Robert.
you and your husband
Perfect.
and your baby, and you're so happy.
Oh
So,
yes.
so you've
That's
created that life. Now tell us, kind of move us up. Again, we could take 2 hours, but really move us up to the point where you are now. Kind of
yeah.
how he came into your life, and then of course the baby happened. Tell us more about the last year or so.
Hey, Robert, do you remember Neville quoted the Bible, "My ways are past finding out from God. My
Mhm.
ways are past finding out." Do you remember hearing that?
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
quite sure I heard it from Neville. So this is the last thing that I expected to happen. How I met my husband. I did not expect that. Okay. Listen to this. Whole year when I was talking to Robert included, even we're next door. He was in Bali. I could just fly to meet him. No flight. We're all under a lockdown. Hong Kong, in Asia, it was really, 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 really strict. There was no restaurants you can go to. You can only go takeaway. You have to wear a face mask. Otherwise, you'd be fined money, like serious crime. And so I was living in a hotel room by myself. And I met with Robert. He made me make a list. He made me do certain exercises to talk to myself, blah blah. And you know what is really funny because when I met with Robert, I was
I love how you
manifesting.
speak about me in the second person.
What?
I love how you speak about me as Robert. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I just want to make sure your listeners know that you're talking about me. So
Yeah, I'm thinking about you
I'm Robert, by the way. But
when I
anyway,
met with you.
no. So I don't want to interrupt you though.
I'm sure
So
everybody
when
knew.
you were in that circumstance in the hotel and so forth, doing virtual exercises. I mean, literally to do with the gym also. But then you started to practice the exercises I gave you. So go ahead, pick
It's
up on
very
that.
funny because I actually like that I was like in the middle of changing my self-concept as well as manifesting this specific person who was my personal trainer at the gym.
Mhm.
And Robert didn't know because I didn't even update him fast enough that it was actually successful. It was successful. One thing I didn't know was he was actually dating somebody for 4 years. I'm like, are you serious? And then immediately, they broke up 1 week later after I found out. And then
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, I manifested it. And then I was moving forward, and suddenly, guess what? No, actually, then okay, so July 4th, interesting date.
Mhm.
I didn't know I was going to come into America, blah, blah, but I decided to become a wife. I'm going to manifest myself a wife. I don't just want to be with a person, I want to be a wife. So I started to get serious. I started to, as I said, the hardest thing is I have been single and dating forever. I had maybe 20 boyfriends in the past. I had no idea what it feels like to be a wife, how to
Mhm.
do life with another
Mhm.
person, how to
Mhm.
live with
Mhm.
another person.
Mhm.
So I had to actually create that whole structure from
Mhm. Mhm.
square one. I had to work out how are we going to live together. Our visions align, our dreams align, our values align, our hobbies align. How do we handle difficulties? Are we going to have children?
Mhm.
Where do we live? What
Mhm.
about our careers? I made everything so detailed so I could jump into the picture and assume the identity of a wife.
I
Like,
love it. I love it. I love it.
that's the process.
As Neville says, you don't want to think of your desire, but from your desire. So you created your desire in detail as a wife, then you jumped into that person
Jump in.
and
Yes.
you lived
So that I
from it. I
could
love it.
live from it. Yes.
I
That
love
is,
it.
I realized yesterday after coaching somebody who has been with me for 8 years, I'm like, how, what is it that she doesn't understand? Wow, that's what Neville was talking about. Most people think of the end, and only
Mm,
not even 1 in a million understands the concept of living from the end.
that is so
Not,
true. So true.
not 1 in a million, Neville said.
Hopefully they will after this video. They'll really
Yes.
understand it and not only take uh, Angela's coaching, but I have at least 5 videos on that about living from, about how to visualize and the steps that I gave you. I have that mapped out. And if they will just do it, because I have so many, they'll like it, they'll make a nice comment. But it's so rare to get somebody to come back and say, I have a few, definitely, I have some do that for sure. But to actually say, I'm doing what you gave me. I've had a
Mm,
couple of my YouTube subscribers actually come back and say, Robert, I'm doing it, it works. And that's what people need to do. This is not just an entertaining interview. We're trying to give you some meat, some ideas that you can take and
exactly.
use starting today. And of course,
Yeah.
if you really want to be mentored and get the help, you'll seek our coaching, either myself or Angela or both of us. But I'm definitely going to point them to your coaching, especially when it comes to manifesting an SP, because you say you've helped so many people already, right?
Yeah, I have so many you're talking about the students who are doing the courses?
Yeah. Since you've developed your courses, you're helping a lot of people, correct?
Yeah, I have maybe like 80 students doing this course. Yeah.
Wow, wow.
Most of my subscribers, followers are in the Chinese region, so China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, ish, and then Malaysia. But my courses are in English, Mandarin, and Cantonese, three different languages. So you don't have to listen to Chinese. Don't worry. Our audiences don't have to listen to the Chinese courses.
Okay, so do you have it in English also?
Yeah, only, yeah.
Okay, very,
So
very
like
good. Because we
only,
do want to appeal, of course, to my Asian community because at least half of my followers are from Southeast Asia.
oh wow.
So you
Yeah,
might get, and of course, a lot of them live in America
I would
too. America,
love to
Canada,
help.
UK, and yet maybe they're perhaps they're Asian, they have an Asian background, so they can identify with that. But I know you've helped many people that are American and just, speak English. And so this really is for everyone, right?
Yes, I'm going
Okay.
to give our viewers like some pointers about how to manifest your
Please,
specific
please do.
SE because I worked from that. Like I had known this guy for 6 years, and when I met Robert, I'm like, I want to manifest being with him, and that was during COVID. And then I realized I was also still repeating my pattern of I am not wanted or I don't belong. It feels like whoever I wanted, we don't belong. And so I started working on my concept. I started to understand that, oh yeah, like I started to feel empowered and I started to understand we belong together. I started to have different inner conversation about myself.
Mm,
And then you suddenly see the other guy differently. You will start to see that they want you the same. And they are so thrilled to be with you. And they are trying in every way to be with you. So I started thinking in that way. I started feeling in that way that, oh my goodness, like he wants me so much. And then he started sending me love songs. He started making a move and I was okay. Then the next thing I wanted to create a marriage. So I made a very clear picture.
mm,
And so that is the meat of creating a marriage is I am now a cherished, loved wife. We're always together and I am so loved and we are
mm,
200% compatible because compatibility and aloneness were very strong in my past relationships. Like
mm.
I was always with someone incompatible or I always felt alone. So even if I was with someone, they would be working till morning hours and then I go out to work, so we never see each other. And then so togetherness, I needed to practice my wish fulfill. So practicing your wish fulfilled is very important because
Mm.
I was so used to feeling alone. I didn't even know that was loneliness. I didn't know I felt lonely because I was so used to being lonely. And
No,
then now
I
I
understand.
need
You
to,
actually you get comfortable with being uncomfortable and not having what you want. So it's
yeah.
really you weren't you didn't do it on purpose, but you were actually settling.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then people would actually be very attached to someone because they make you feel exactly that. They make you feel lonely. They make you feel not wanted or abandoned. And nobody knew that until a coach tells them. So for my students, that's what I help them. Wow, to see it and change it. And then I started practicing how to see, like, how would I talk to myself, the self internal, the inner conversation,
Hmm.
self concept, inner conversation. I feel so happy to be a wife. I love being a wife. I'm so loved. I cannot believe I have a husband who loves me so much. I started practicing that. And and alongside that, those techniques, I started feeling that the current guy didn't wasn't able to give me that juicy feeling because just something was missing because my marriage, my dream marriage is massive. It's almost like a royal wedding. It's almost like a fairy tale happy ending. This guy at the gym is missing something. So I started to have to give myself creative imagination in order to make it like a feeling for me, like to give me a feeling. So I started going on a whole list of movies, watching like movies marathon, love movies. I needed to grasp the
Oh, you
feeling.
immersed yourself in that type of love. I love
Yeah.
that. And I tell my viewers too, like myself, when I was imagining living on the beach, having a beach life, I would watch YouTube videos of the ocean and the beach with the palm trees and the seagull passing over and beautiful people enjoying the beach. I would immerse myself in those videos and I would actually use the soundtracks from those on when I would record my imaginal event and record myself being in the beach. And I actually would add the background sounds. Visuals
Wow.
and audibles and visuals can help a lot. And so you immersed yourself in movies.
Yes, you're right. So like I'm not kidding because I just you're gonna laugh at this. Um my top songs on Spotify for 2022 are from the Cinderella original soundtrack. Because every time I play that music, it's orchestra. It's like Disney orchestra music. There's no one singing. But it represents the scene, the scenery
You
in the
were
movie.
Cinderella.
Then and the scene that I picked, not that I'm doing housework, that I ignore.
Skip that
I
part.
didn't want to do
Yeah, skip that
housework and
part.
have a horrible
Yeah,
stepmother
yeah, yeah. Moving
to
on,
torture me.
moving on to the glorious part. The end
Yeah,
of the
I
movie.
only wanted the scene when he stepped into the ballroom and the prince was waiting for him. And the prince had all these 100 princesses he didn't want to dance with. He was just watching the door for Cinderella to walk in. And when she did, the whole room just stopped and
Oh,
he
I
could only
love it.
see
I love
her.
it.
Yeah.
You really were living in the end. And this is what Neville Goddard teaches, living in the end. So you skipped all the things that, I mean, I tell my clients, you know, you live in the end. So there's all kinds of drama and things that happen unexpectedly and bridges of incidents that lead to the end, but you're focusing on the end result. You're already there. So you skip the first 2/3 of the movie and you jumped right into walking into the
I
ballroom.
watched
I
it and
love
then
it.
when I caught something that really touched me, that's the part I need to repeat because I know the feeling is the secret. That's the
So
part I
true.
need to repeat. So, bridge of incidents, I'm gonna use 2 minutes to finish it. Bridge of incidents, okay? I got two callings to go to America. One was actually a documentary filming from Amazon Prime. And I said, I'm in a lockdown. I'm not coming to America for a film. And then so they proposed like we subsidize all your flights and expenses. I would fly you in business class, and I'm like, oh, it seems like they're really sincere. Then the other group, I was really interested because they
Mm,
were also teaching levels, and they
mm,
wanted to have me as like on the board, and I wanted to come and talk to them too. I'm like, okay, fine, let's just get out. And I was like, I'm just in the middle of manifesting my marriage. Doesn't matter. Let's just go do this round trip of America and back and let's continue. At
mm,
that point, as I explained before, I had a strong um, identity, a concept of self of I don't belong. So I used to attract men who would be like from like a far, far away land, like I'm talking about Swedish and they speak four languages except English. And like I couldn't even communicate with the guy like
mm,
that bad. Like I used to attract people who I really did not belong. So
mhm.
this time I went a bit extreme. I'm like, I need to marry a Hong Kong citizen. I
Hmm.
need because I'm from Hong Kong. I need to marry somebody from my homeland. So there I went.
Someone you could really speak Cantonese and Mandarin
And
with.
who understands my culture, who will come visit my mom and my grandma,
That's important, sure.
Yeah, and
And
my
so how,
homeland.
and so skipping forward just a little bit. So tell us about the ladies watching this are dying and the men too, about how you actually met him and started dating and get together. Tell us the juicy stuff.
So I flew to America and not like, how do you know that your manifesting is happening? You start to attract people who are just like that. So the first week that happened, I was in LA
Mm.
doing this filming. My exes suddenly all landed in America. They all came to America, say, "Hi, what are you doing?" And then they expressed their intention to get back with me. And now I'm a serious guy. I've reached 40 now. I want to have marriage and wife. I'm like, oh, it's happening. But to me, they were my exes for a reason. Like we weren't compatible. Okay. So
Okay.
let's pass it. But they show me that I'm manifesting. It's happening. And
Mhm.
then the next week, I had to fly through West Palm Beach and going into New York. Like my next stop was New York. And it's funny, I was on the plane last minute. I changed my seat because I didn't want to sit all the way in the back. I wanted to go forward. And then the guy who sat next to me just looked shocked, and then he's like, I think that was an empty seat when I checked in. Did you just move here?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I did." And we started talking. He was from the Navy. He was born my year. He was also an attorney. He was handsome. He was a Navy guy. And then he wanted to ask me out on a date. I'm like, getting close. And then that same night, I was thinking to myself, he's not from Hong Kong though. That's the problem. He works in DC and he's from America. Because I was very specific. I needed to feel belong. So overnight,
that was one of your specific desires, is
it was a
somebody actually
specific
from your culture.
desire. I could not compromise that because that would be accepting my old false identity. I could not compromise.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I kindly declined. Like he actually wrote me a message. Are you still okay? Like, is it okay if I ask you out for a day? I said, I'm so sorry. You're so amazing. Many women want to be with you, but I know who I want to marry. I actually said that. I know who I want to marry. So I wish you the best of your life. And then went straight to New York. Went to New York.
Another one bites the dust.
But like if that person ever gets to see this interview, you know it's not your fault. And it's just like specifics that I was calling
You
into.
knew exactly what you wanted.
It was weird, huh? So like now I'm in New York and I remember I was supposed to go into, so like there are these carpools happening because we were going to upstate New York, the Catskill Mountain. And there's a place called Menla. It's where the Lalama Foundation built that place. Is where all the indigenous Indians did their ceremonies, the shamans do their ceremonies. So it's a very sacred space. So we all went there, and there had to be a carpool situation because not everybody had a car in New York. And so I was supposed to go in this lady Jennifer's car, and last minute I was told to no, 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 not going to Jennifer's. You go into this 43rd Street of Manhattan and go into this guy's car. I'm like, what? So I literally dragged my suitcase all the way across Manhattan. Like, I'm like, who am I going into? Like, this last minute change, it was so um sort of like caught me off guard. And I'm like, should I take an Uber? Don't worry, I just go. And then drag my suitcase. And I was delivered to the doorstep of my husband to be that I didn't know. So he was called to this event to present a brain priming technology. He's a biohacking guy. He's a biotechnology guy. So he was invited into Menla to present this technology. And I was going into his car, and we were waiting down at his uncle's apartment in Hell's Kitchen, and where he was raised since he was 8 years old. He was like, his uncle is in New York, and then he was raised in New York since he was 8. So I was just right there. And the moment he looked at me, he said, I'm a Hong Kong citizen. That was so funny. I'm like, oh, really?
You're like, ding.
Thing. I'm like, this is
Big
getting
check mark.
very
Big check mark.
interesting.
That
This
was a
is
big
getting
check mark.
very interesting. Yeah.
And then how did it move into
Fast forward,
romance? Yeah.
because we were both there for work, like as
Okay.
you all know, we were all there for work, so we were being very professional. Nothing happened other than talking. But by the third day, I knew he was the one because I had such specifics written. I got his values down on my creation, right? I got his values, I got his image, I got his vibe, I got his attitude, I got his vision for life, I got his dream woman down.
So
By third
whether
day,
Angela, so whether he knew it or not, you knew it already. It
I
was a
knew.
done deal. Now at this point,
This is what.
there was still no dating yet. You just knew that he was the
No,
guy.
no, no. We're there for a whole week for work. So like the whole week
Wow.
up in upstate New York, we're staying in the La Lama Foundation
Okay.
a retreat center. So like yeah, it was like strictly for work. Um, I remember it was so funny. So like for people who are watching this, I tell you how you know. When you are really doing the work right, when you're practicing embodying your wish fulfilled, when you have practiced it to a point that you are it, it's almost like in the on a soul level, you have already been with your husband or wife for all these days. Like I've been with him for so long. Every time I practice it, I was with him. We're together, we're together, we're together. Remember, togetherness was one of my specification.
Wow.
And when he showed up in flash, you just know. You're like, that's it. That's the feeling. That's the feeling. And I remember how I felt was like, this feels so safe. Like I remember feeling so safe. This is right. It feels right. And then when we talked, we got to share all the specificities that I had written down,
Mhm.
and he takes all, like, say 100 and more. Because I had a catch-all provision. I had a catch-all provision. He's everything I ever wanted in my life. And so I it's just in case I missed something, he would catch that.
Now, at what point did you start to find out all these details? Just in sitting on breaks at this
We
event
would,
where you would chat with him, or
yeah.
and you were asking questions and talking about your life, and you just kept hearing all of these things about him that were like your ideal?
There were certain activities during the retreat where we had to pair up.
Okay.
And so I got to pair up with him. And also there
Oh,
was
there
like
you
one
go.
moment I turned around and he asked me, "Are you married?" I'm like, "Interesting. I'm manifesting my marriage. What about yourself?" And he's like, "I have always wanted to marry a Hong Kong wife."
Oh my
And then
gosh. Oh my God.
he
Bing, bing, bing,
actually,
bing, 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 bing.
and he would tell you his story if he has a chance, because
Oh my
he
gosh.
actually, like, when he was still in Hong Kong before he came back to America, he was on Bumble saying looking for a Hong Kong wife.
Oh wow.
Mm. And we were literally, when we were in Hong Kong, our offices were looking at each other on Queen's Road Central, which is the most busy road in Hong Kong, like the
Mhm.
biggest, busiest road in central Hong Kong. We're looking across each other and we never bump into each other for years. Never bump into each
Wow.
other. Just
That's
wasn't
amazing.
ready. Wasn't ready. And we went to the same massage parlor next door for foot massage. Like there are like 6 to 10 different
Yeah.
massages in the same building. We
Uh,
went to the same floor every day and never met each other.
that's amazing. But like you say, you were not ready. So had you met him at that time, you had not developed your self-concept yet fully, and probably it wouldn't have happened.
No, probably wouldn't even recognize each other.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're right. It is so
So this
interesting,
is
right?
one thing our viewers can learn also, is that our job is just to live in the end, live from the end, and develop that self-concept of ourself, the concept of ourself, of what we believe and accept as true, and then really feel that it's ours. Like you said, you were already living with that ideal
Yeah.
person. You had developed that. You hadn't previously, when you were actually not bumping into him, but he was doing the same things in the same locations, like the massage and who knows, restaurants or whatever. You didn't know each other, and there was no attraction. He was not ready, and you were not ready.
No. And like Neville said in The Power of Awareness, as I remember, you're
Mhm.
not getting that thing. You're not aiming to get that person. You're aiming to become the person who have that person.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You must be it to see it.
Yeah. You're thriving. Like all you're doing is, yeah, your only job is to become the person who have this person and have this marriage. And that it must deliver to you. It must deliver to you in full-blown manifestation. By
I
day
love it. I
three,
love it.
I
I love it.
told my
And
mom,
Angela, this is exactly why. And again, our viewers, it's up to you whether you want to accept my free consultation for 30 minutes and decide to coach with me. It's up to you whether you take the courage to click on Angela's link, which I'm gonna share with you in the description. Be sure and check that out. But the courage to do that leads to mentoring and coaching. We help you achieve what you want to achieve. It's not about us, it's about you and helping you become the best version of you so that you can achieve what you want to achieve. Like you're saying, Angela, we must be conscious of it first to receive it. And so that's why the exercises that you give your clients, that's why the exercises that I give my clients that I work with for, ideally minimum 5 weeks, unless they want to continue coaching, but that they can take with them so that they don't need us anymore. I don't want my
mm,
clients to need me anymore. I want them to be self-sufficient and do their own, be so powerful that they know exactly what to do and the steps to follow. And they can just contact me like you did, several months and years later. Robert, this is my life now. And I go, oh my God, I'm so blessed
So
that I had
happy.
a small part in it. I was able to coach her, and now to see her life now, that to me is payment. That's
Oh,
like money in the bank. And I'm sure you feel that way too when you coach people, and a few months
I'm
later,
on cloud
they
nine when
say,
I see
Angela,
them
I'm
succeed.
feeling the
Yeah.
shift. I got that career. And you know what? I just met this guy that's ideal. Oh my God. But it's because they're, like you said, they have to practice the steps.
Yeah.
You don't get it magically by going on a dating site or, bumping into someone. You have
That
to
is some.
practice the steps and become the person to receive that.
I also receive a lot of questions from my students that I would like to share some specifics about my story that is very interesting. The first one being, I literally did no action to the max possible. I was in under lockdown in a hotel room, living by myself, no restaurants, no parties, no dancing, no gym because everything was under lockdown. And I actually decided on July 4th that I would manifest my marriage by December 1st, which is my 42nd birthday. And what happened when I met my husband Tamer, that was September 25th. By the 27th, I knew he was the one. I was calling my mom in the middle of the night because she was in Hong Kong. Mom, I'm the one. So funny. Of course, my husband, if he gets to talk to you, he also knew. Um, and he invited me to go live with him in LA and see how it goes. I'm like, sure. And I knew we'll be engaged in a month. So in October, I was seeing him in Japan. Actually, like he had to do an event in Japan, and he proposed on October 24th, which was exactly 1 month after we met. And then we went back to LA, went to Beverly Hills Registry, and the lady said, "Oh, the only date you can get married on our calendar is November 30th. That's the only day available," which was exactly the day before my birthday. And so we got married on November 30th, right before I turned 42.
What an amazing birthday present.
I know.
Our viewers have to realize, because most don't have the courage to be so specific. They just want to get a nice guy that fits most of their desires, that works for them. They
That is the
don't have
core
the courage
concept.
or the patience to do
Mm.
the work. And the work is really not work. It's pleasurable. It becomes a joy to go into
Yes,
those
I was
meditations
the
meditations and
happiest
take that
person.
into your sleep, take it into your alpha meditation, or take it into, like you say, where you're sitting up and you close your eyes and you just go over yourself as that person having that life. And you do it over and over and over again, and you are transforming yourself. But it's a process, and you have to do the work. You have to
Yes,
practice. I'm sorry.
yes,
There's no
yes.
shortcuts. There's no shortcut.
If there's no change on the external world, it's because there's no change in our internal world. That's it, period. And the courses I created, especially 88 days, was step by step how to do what I did. Every step I had, like, I'm completely transparent. I gave you every step I did, examples that I did, and you just follow through for 88 days. And then
I
you will
love
have
it.
the
I love it. I love it. And my clients or my students that have had the most success are ones who simply said, Robert, what do I do? How do I do it? And I just say, if you follow exactly what I give you and practice it, you will have success. You have to be committed to
yeah.
following those steps. Are you committed? Yes, Robert, I am. And then I see if they are or not.
Oh,
But the ones who have stuck with it, I have one lady, and I actually have an interview with her that maybe you've watched on my YouTube channel. She actually, one of the key things I gave her was my mirror exercise, where she would look in her eyes, and I think I gave this to
that
you,
was the
look in her
exercise that
eyes
you
and tell
really helped me.
herself, I'm good enough, I'm enough, I'm more than enough. And you know what? She evolved from that. A couple of months later, she was saying to herself in the mirror, you're gorgeous. You are
I
so
love it.
beautiful. You're amazing. You're achieving everything you desire in your career. You know that she's one of the top people in her career now.
Wow,
She's making
amazing.
10, $20,000 a month. And she went from
Wow,
from
amazing.
where she couldn't imagine selling, because she's an insurance agent, basically. And she would sell these small packages. And I had her say to herself, I have millionaire clients. All of my clients are high end that always pay on time. She would do this over and over. And now she is the one they look for in her company. If they're the wealthy client who wants the $2 million policy, she's the one who gets those clients. But it was because she developed from within, not only with the mirror, but of course the other exercises I gave her. And I was so proud of her because she simply did the work and it paid off.
Amazing. The practices work for me, and it only works for our audience if they work with it. So I have clearly laid out every single step necessary to transform your painful identities into your dream identity once and for all. So you never have to repeat the past 30, 40, 50, 60 years of pain. Like, please stop now. Don't repeat that painful pattern. I only found out about that when I became a psychotherapist. So like, this is no joke. I understand why people cannot manifest what they want. It's because they are still carrying that painful identity and trying to grasp that thing, which reinforce their inadequacy. Like, I want that man, he doesn't want me back. I want him more, so he makes me feel not enough, or he makes me feel not loved or not wanted. And that is the thing that has been playing that has been the plot of all the painful love stories in the past. So Last Stop True Love would end that.
Beautiful. So to put it simply, because of your background and your experience in your own life, applying those principles, which are ancient principles that have been practiced by the mystics for thousands of years, but now we have those practices, and you help people simply to break that pattern, develop their self-concept of what they really want to be themselves, so that they qualify and can be on the right vibrational level and bring those manifest those things into their life, is one way to word it. And so then they're out of that pattern. They are that new person because they've done the work, and then they get results.
Yeah, once you have gone through that, once anybody who has gone through Last Stop True Love and really woke up like from that crazy self-attack, you would be like, I'm like a bird, I want to fly away. It's like, oh my God, I'm emotionally free. And you feel so empowered. Now I can have anything I want. Now I can have anything I want. And I can assure everybody, because most of us have been living in the trauma and not in our dreams in the past. And so now what? That's when I first met you, Robert, who started off, what is your dream then? I'm like, wow, good question. Then I started knowing how to creatively create that for myself. And then 88 Days Love Miracle is to teach you now what? So now you are free to be anybody you want, and you can have anybody you want, including an SP. Now, how do you do it? Then there are 12 modules. Every module is about only not more than 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. And it comes with a workbook, and you can work your way up. And I give you every step of what I did within those 88 days to manifest my own current husband. And we just celebrated our 2 years wedding anniversary. And we have a 1-year-old baby.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
So 2 years marriage, and your baby is 1 year old?
Yes.
Oh, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. It's really been an honor speaking with you. I have a feeling we're going to do this again, but really, for those that have followed this, again, Angela's link will be in the description. She's amazing. She has the personal experience of actually knowing, not hoping that it'll work, but she knows these methods work. So I encourage you to click her link, have a look, develop that relationship with her and that contact, and seriously consider actually taking the leap and actually taking her course on manifesting. There's 12 modules that she takes you through step by step, and her clients and students are having success. So Angela, thank you so much. It's been so satisfying to talk to you. Yes, and we will go. Pardon me?
It's been an honor. Thank you so much for inviting me, Robert.
It's been my pleasure. So my pleasure. And we'll talk again real soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.